The mother gorilla kept hugging only one of her babies. When Zookeeper realized why, he was shocked. It was a crisp autumn morning at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, the sunlight slanting through the tall eucalyptus trees that lined the perimeter of the great apes exhibit. The air smelled of fresh hay, damp earth after last night's light rain, and the faint, musky signature of gorilla fur that Marcus Hale had come to associate with home over the past 8 years. The park was just opening, and the first families were already drifting toward the viewing platforms, children pointing excitedly at the massive silverback lounging on a log. But for Marcus, the senior zookeeper responsible for the gorilla troop, the day began with a quiet unease he couldn't shake. Marcus knew this family inside out. He could identify each gorilla by their knuckle-print scars, the way they moved, even the rhythm of their breathing. At the center was Kala, a 19-year-old matriarch with deep brown eyes and a calm authority that kept the troop in line. She wasn't the silverback. That was Toro, the 400-pound male who patrolled the edges. But Kala was the heart. 3 weeks ago, she'd delivered something extraordinary: identical twins. In the wild, gorilla twins rarely both survived, but here, with veterinary support and abundant food, the odds were better. The male, Miko, arrived first, robust, vocal, already trying to grip anything in reach. Leela came minutes later, smaller, quieter, her cries softer and less insistent. The troop had responded with joy. The younger females gathered close, offering gentle touches and soft grunts of welcome. Toro stood guard, chest beating proudly. Marcus had watched it all from the keeper corridor, smiling as Kala cradled both infants to her chest, letting them nurse in turns. It felt like a small victory for conservation. But over the next 10 days, the joy faded into something troubling. It started small. During morning feeds, Kala would settle on her favorite flat rock in the sun. Miko latched on firmly while Leela waited her turn. Then Kala began shifting her body, angling away so Leela couldn't reach. Miko got the bulk of the milk. Leela got scraps, if anything. Kala groomed Miko obsessively, parting his fine black hair with careful fingers, picking imaginary specks, murmuring low contentment rumbles. Leela sat nearby in the straw, arms wrapped around her knees, watching with wide, confused eyes. When she crawled closer, whimpering, Kala would turn her back or simply move away, carrying Miko to another spot. No aggression, no slaps or bites, just exclusion. Complete, deliberate distance. Marcus first chalked it up to fatigue. Twins were exhausting even for a healthy gorilla mother. Perhaps Kala was instinctively conserving energy, prioritizing the bolder, louder infant who seemed more likely to thrive. Nature was brutal that way. Gorillas in the wild sometimes abandoned the weaker twin to ensure at least one survived. But this felt different. Leela wasn't just smaller, she was fading. Her movements slowed. Her cries grew thinner, more pitiful. She stopped trying to approach as often, as if she'd already accepted the rejection. By day 12, Marcus couldn't ignore it anymore. Lila's ribs were visible under her thin coat. She spent hours sitting alone, rocking slightly, staring at the ground. Miko, meanwhile, was plump and energetic, tumbling over his mother's back, play wrestling with an older juvenile. Marcus climbed to the elevated observation deck during a quiet mid-morning lull. He trained binoculars on Kala. She was hugging Miko again, arms wrapped tightly, rocking him like a precious cargo. Leela lay a few feet away, curled in a tight ball, shivering despite the warm sun. He keyed his radio. "Sophia, it's Marcus. We have a problem with Kala and the twins. She's rejecting Leela outright. No contact, no nursing. Miko's fine, but Leela's declining fast. Weight loss, lethargy. I need you here." Dr. Sophia Reyes, the zoo's lead primate vet, arrived in under 20 minutes. She was in her mid-40s, no nonsense, with a quiet intensity that made animals trust her. Together they stood at the thick viewing glass, watching the scene unfold. Kala pulled Miko closer, grooming his ears with focused care. Leela tried once to crawl nearer, letting out a weak squeak. Kala glanced over, briefly, then turned away again. Sophia lowered her binoculars, face grim. This isn't simple resource allocation. In twin rejections, mothers usually neglect both or favor based on vigor, but she's actively blocking one while lavishing the other. Something's triggering her instincts. Marcus rubbed his jaw. What do we do? Pull Leela for hand-rearing? That could stress Kala more, and she'd fight us. We watch closely first, Sophia said. Run non-invasive checks, fecal samples for parasites, observe movement patterns. If Leela crashes, we sedate and intervene. But let's give Kala time. Gorillas are smart. She might know something we don't. The next week was agony. Marcus extended his shifts, sitting on the keeper side of the mesh after hours, speaking softly to Leela through the barrier. "Hey, little one, hang in there." Miko would sometimes toddle over, curious, pressing his face to the glass. Leela would drag herself closer too, forehead against the cool surface, eyes locking on Marcus's as if begging for help he couldn't yet give. Then came the turning point, a sudden downpour on a Thursday afternoon. The sky darkened without warning. Thunder rumbled in the distance as rain hammered the habitat roof like a drumroll. Visitors scattered to the indoor viewing areas, leaving the outdoor enclosure deserted except for Marcus, who stayed under the overhang in his rain slicker. Kala had moved to a sheltered rocky ledge. Miko clutched to her chest. Leela remained in the open grass, soaked through, too weak to climb the short distance to cover. She huddled in a miserable ball, shivering violently. Marcus's heart twisted. He was about to radio for emergency access when Kala moved. She looked at Lila, really looked. Her gaze lingered longer than it had in weeks. Something shifted in her posture. Slowly, she set Miko down beside her on the dry rock. Then she rose, rain streaming off her broad shoulders, and walked straight through the deluge toward her daughter. Marcus held his breath. Kala reached Leela and bent down. She didn't scoop her up immediately. Instead, she crouched low, nostrils flaring as she sniffed along Leela's soaked body, head, back, limbs, pausing especially at the left hind leg. Leela whimpered softly. Kala let out a deep, rumbling vocalization, not angry, but questioning, almost mournful. Gently, she rolled Leela onto her side, examining the leg with delicate fingers. Then she froze. Her hand hovered over the joint. Marcus saw it now too, a subtle misalignment in the hip, a slight outward twist that hadn't been noticeable under newborn folds and fur. Leela's leg didn't bend or bear weight the same way Miko's did. He snatched his radio. "Sophia, emergency." Kala's finally engaging with Leela. "She's inspecting her leg. Get here fast." Sophia arrived breathless, rain dripping from her hood. Through the sheets of water, they watched Kala nudge Lila to stand. The infant tried, legs trembling. The left one buckled almost immediately, forcing her to collapse back down. Sophia exhaled sharply. Developmental hip dysplasia. Congenital. Mild to moderate. Painful enough to limit mobility, but not immediately life-threatening. In the wild, she'd be deemed non-viable. Kala's instincts read the weakness and shut down attachment to protect the troop's resources. She was safeguarding Miko. Marcus felt the shock crash over him like the rain itself. All this time, she rejected her because she sensed the injury. She thought Leela couldn't make it? "Precisely," Sophia said. "Gorilla mothers aren't sentimental in the human way. They're survival machines. But look, she's reevaluating now." The rain, forced proximity, forced her to really examine. and she's not walking away." As they spoke, Kala gathered Leela close. This embrace was different, fierce, enveloping. She pulled both infants in, one under each arm, shielding them from the storm. Miko reached across to pat Leela's head curiously. Leela let out a tiny, relieved sigh, nuzzling deeper into her mother's warmth. Kala began grooming her daughter, slow, thorough strokes that washed away weeks of neglect. Marcus wiped rain and tears from his face. She knew. She was protecting what she could until she understood she could protect both. The team moved quickly once the rain eased. They sedated Kala briefly for safety, darting her with a low-dose tranquilizer so they could examine Leela without risking a protective charge. X-rays confirmed mild hip dysplasia, treatable with anti-inflammatories, targeted physical therapy, gentle range of motion exercises guided by keepers, nutritional supplements for bone growth, and time. No surgery required. Many young gorillas adapted as ligaments strengthened. They returned the family to the habitat with added soft bedding, low climbing structures to build strength safely, and constant monitoring. Kala woke groggy but immediately checked both infants, sniffing, hugging, nursing in turns. The rejection was over. Weeks passed in quiet triumph. Leela gained weight steadily. Her leg straightened noticeably with daily sessions, Marcus or Sophia gently flexing it while she nursed, rewarding with mashed fruit. Miko became her shadow, play pushing her gently to encourage movement. The troop welcomed her fully again. Even Toro allowed closer huddles. One still evening after closing, the habitat lights dimmed to soft amber. Marcus sat on his usual bench outside the glass, exhausted but content. Kala approached slowly, both twins clinging to her fur. She sat inches from the barrier, eyes level with his. Then she lifted one massive hand and pressed her palm flat against the glass, warm, leathery, steady. Leela, stronger now, scrambled up her mother's arm and placed her tiny hand beside Kala's. Miko followed, adding his own small palm, 3 gorilla hands aligned against Marcus's one. He pressed back gently, voice thick. "Your family, all of you, we're in this together." The glass between them felt almost nothing. It wasn't just a medical fix, it was revelation. Kala's love hadn't been absent, it had been strategic, fierce, waiting for proof that both could survive. In understanding her, Marcus understood something deeper about the wild heart inside every mother, human or gorilla. If this powerful story of instinct, hidden pain, redemption, and the unbreakable bonds of family touched you, please smash that like button. It really helps spread these real animal miracles to more people. And if you're moved by these emotional zoo rescues, surprising maternal instincts, and heartwarming comebacks, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you catch every new story. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one.